All right, this is an interesting one, ain't it? Team of Vipers. My 500 extraordinary days in the Trump White House. You know, they always make everything so descriptive. It's probably like, and then he said a mean word to me. What a viper, right? It's always disappointing. But let's do it. First thing I see is killers. So, you know, if you're around vipers, I don't know if you've ever seen a viper, a snake. They're quite vicious, right? That's why I guess he's saying in a team of vipers. So they should be vicious. And you got a title called Killers. So this should be like some gruesomeness. But we know it's nothing too vicious or killing because no one died. So it can't be, it's ours. You know what I mean? But let's get to it. 126. Now, 100 years ago, if it said killing, then it would probably have like a whole line of heads hanging up, and now that would be a team of vipers, right? But today's world, it's 126. This one got pictures too. Killers, like if you watch The Impossible, watch that one. Now those are killers, right? That was even, like when I read that, I was like, right? I doubt that's gonna happen here. On April 3rd, 2017, I sat quietly in the southwest corner of the cabinet room as the national security and foreign policy officials filed in one by one for a bilateral meeting between Trump and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. Egypt was one of our most important Arab allies in the fight against ISIS, but this was the first time its head of state had been to the West Ring since 2009. Sisi and President Obama had endured a tense relationship, to say the least. Outside of Israel, no country received more military aid from the United States than Egypt, about $1.2 billion annually. But at one point, Obama sought to punish Sisi's government for human rights abuse, of which was no doubt guilty, by halting the delivery of U.S. military hardware and cash. Obama ultimately relented, but he never invited Sisi to the White House. Trump was determined to prioritize American strategic interests over such humanitarian concerns. His intentions were never stated in quite those terms, but the shift was clear. This was a departure from recent iterations of U.S. foreign policy, which Trump believed focused too much on lecturing other countries about how they should conduct themselves. Trump's approach to geopolitics was still developing, but was actually pretty well summed up by one of his campaign slogans: America first. See, this is what I'm saying. Where's the killer part? Like, everything sounds kind of good to me. He represented a return to politic, blunt, hard-changing, and transactional pragmatism on the world stage. Whatever the faults with his approach, he proudly owned them. Of course, the fact that Sisi and Obama had not gotten along made Trump even more excited to meet with him. They were huddling one-on-one in the Oval while their top aides waited in the cabinet room next door. On one side of the table, with the rose garden visible through the windows behind them, was designated for the American delegation. On the other side, a half dozen Egyptian advisors. One of them, in an ornate military uniform, stood behind their chairs. The small talk was minimal. The language barrier may have contributed to this, but neither side was really talking among themselves either. I was sitting along the wall behind the rest of the American team and thinking through the Arabic phrases I had picked up during my travels in the Middle East, including Europe. I squinted to see the antique clock sitting in the mantle at the other end of the room. Was it afternoon yet? I figured I should know for sure, just in case I got brave and decided to greet anyone from a foreign delegation with Shabbat al-Khair, good morning, or Masad al-Khair, good afternoon, evening. With a title called Killers? Come on, man. Come on. Like, dude, you're telling me whether you want to sit there and say good evening or good night, and you titled it Killers? Like, let's see if we get anything interesting instead of you gonna explain, you know, you had a tummy ache or something. Okay. Oh, I see the word killed. Let's go. Let's see what he's talking about. And hopefully he's not talking about killing a fly. As Trump continued working his way around the room, I watched CC closely. He had a pleasant disposition, which I found interesting because of how it contrasted with his well-earned reputation as a strongman. There was something chilling to me about the apparent likability of a man who'd been known to have his enemies killed. Maybe it was the Arab version of walk softly but carry a big stick. See, what do you think Americans do to our enemies? What we send them flowers and roses? Like what? This is such a biased book, right? I'm gonna read it again so you can understand what I'm saying. Like, what? There was something chilling to me about the apparent likability of a man who'd been known to have his enemies killed. So what you're saying is that not a single president of the United States has a likability factor because every single president has ordered people to be killed. Come on, get with the picture. Like that doesn't even make sense. You're painting this picture of something that's not even true. But yet I still am waiting for some Viper killers. Maybe it was the Arab version of walk softly but carry a big stick. Maybe it was defensive or difference in the presence of superior leverage and firepower. Or maybe it was just good diplomacy. Regardless, here he was, getting along swimmingly with the American president who had once said, Islam hates us, and called for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States. The phrase shot to the front of my mind when I noticed the bump on the CC's forehead. It was slightly darker than the rest of his skin, known as Shabib in Arabic. The mark was pointing of pride among some Muslim men who developed it through repeated contact with their prayer mat. Politically, it was a symbol to a 90% of Egypt's. Okay, let's keep going. Maybe we'll have something else instead of him. Oh, wow, we even got the Mona Lisa in here. I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm done. Team of Vipers. I mean, this is, what are you writing a novel, right? About like let's get to the juicy stuff. You titled it Killers, and you talked more about a garden, and I'm sorry. To me, this is, but for you, this could be amazing. So if you would like to learn about the Team of Vipers, listen, I'm going to shut up. Okay. If you would like to learn about this, click the button below, and I'll take you off to Amazon. But if you're like me and want to throw it in the trash, then you can do that as well. But no, seriously, go to Amazon and then buy it. And then you can tell me how wrong I am and how this Team of Vipers was vicious, right? Instead of telling me a whole about your experience and I had tacos this day and I went to the bathroom at 4:30 instead of 4:35 today. Oh, wow, right? So buy it and you can learn about what time he probably goes to the bathroom and what color shades they were in the White House.